bhavatu sahanau bhunaktu saha viryam karavavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadguru Brahma Vidvaram. We'll chant the invocation. I think it should be on page 8 of your book. Tapo bhikshira papanam Shantanam vitaraginam Mumukshunam apekshayam AtmaBodho vidhiyate. Okay, so I haven't met in a while. So we are continuing AtmaBodha, and I believe we've done up to verse 21 from what I can recall. So what is AtmaBodha? Why are we studying this? AtmaBodha means the knowledge of the self. Atma, the self, the knowledge of who I am. And this book is a book by Adi Shankaracharya Ji, wherein he goes through several examples to explain what the self is. And with each example, it becomes clearer and clearer, because sometimes it's so hard to conceive of. It's so hard to understand who we are. So where we left off was where he was talking about how the self is the non-doer. So let's just read those verses. We'll do a little bit of a recap, and then we will continue forward, okay? So verses 18, 19, 20, 21, they follow a thought flow. So let's read them. We can read them together. Page 53. Dehendriya mano buddhi prakriti-bhyo vilakshanam tad-vritti sakshinam vidyat atmanam rajavatsada vyapriteshvindriyeshvatma vyapari va vivekinam drishyate bhreshu dhavatsu dhavanivayatha shashi atma chaitanyamashritya dehendriyamanodhya sakriyadeshu vartante suryalokam yatha jana dehendriya gunan karmani amale satchidatmani adhyasyantya vivekena gagane niratavivat. So from these verses, we are looking at Atma, or the self, as Sakshi, as a non-doer. When we get to the nature of the self, what is the nature of the self? So in verse 18, Atma is Rajavatsada. It's just like a king. What do you mean the self is like a king? The self is like a king in the sense that in its presence, everything just happens. Everything just functions. It doesn't do anything. Atma, we know, doesn't change. Atma doesn't do. Atma doesn't act. Nor does Atma say that, hey, you have to do this, you have to do that. Atma doesn't initiate anything. It doesn't initiate any action. So like a kind of king we're in, just because he's there, everything just happens. Not that he propels, not that he makes people do it, just because he's there, just things just go on. And I had shared with you about a boss, right? When your boss is there, you just have to see your boss's face and everyone starts working, right? But when your boss is not there, what happens? Everyone slacks off, longer lunch breaks, later we come to work, earlier leave work. Just the fact that somebody is there, it makes us work. So Atma is Sakshi in the sense that in its present, everything just works. Rajavat Sada. Then we saw also in verse 19 that Vyapriteshu Indriyartheshu, while the sense organs are functioning and they're vyapari, they're very active, but then people think that Atma is active. The avivekis, the people who don't know clearly, who don't have a clear determination of what Atma is, they think that Atma is acting. Like what? Drishyate bhreshu dhavatsu. Dhava nivayatha shashi. Just like, when we were kids, when you would look up the sky and you would drive with your parents, you would see that you think that the moon's moving. But the moon's actually not moving. It's the clouds that are moving. Clouds are moving, and the moon is not moving anywhere. So just like how when we look up at the sky, we think the moon's running. The moon's running through the clouds, but actually the clouds are the ones running, not the moon, right? Or just like when we take a train in Bharat, right? When we're taking a train, sometimes we feel like we're stagnant and the trees are moving. Sometimes we feel like the trees are just going on and on and on and on and we're sitting still. Sometimes we don't know, we don't realize that we're the ones moving. The trees are still. So in the same way, Atma is still. Atma doesn't move, but in the midst of it, everything's moving. Everything's moving. So somehow I superimpose the movement on Atma. I superimpose that Atma is opening Atma's eyes, Atma's looking, Atma's thinking, Atma's feeling, Atma's walking. But Atma doesn't do anything. It's just me superimposing all of these motions, all of this movement on Atma. Then further, in verse number 20, he says that the same thing. He says, Atma Chaitanyam Ashritya. Means that self, which is of the nature of consciousness, what happens to it? It says, Dehendriya Manodhiya Swakriyartheshu Vartante. Means everything just functions in its presence. Like how? Like the sun. Surya Lokam Yatha Janaha. Just like the sun doesn't come to you and say, wake up, it's time to wake up. The sun doesn't say to us, the sun doesn't talk to us, the sun doesn't come near us. What happens is, the sun just shines. Because that's its nature, it just shines. And when it shines, everything happens. People wake up, hopefully they wake up. People go to work, people do things, people are active, people go around their lives, and everything works so beautifully because of the sun. So in the same way, Atma is like this sun that in its presence, everything becomes active. Everything it's able to function because it lends its consciousness to it. But when the sun is illuminating something that's very, very poor, a very poor area, does the sun become poor? When the sun is illuminating Fairfield, New Haven, does it become so nice and breezy and green? When it illumines New York City with all the tall buildings and everything, does it become affected by all the noise? No. It's just in its presence, things happen. People work. So that is what we know as Atma. And then, in 21, we say, why do people superimpose these things? Why do people unnecessarily think that Atma is the doer? Atma is this ego. Atma is the karta, bhokta. Because he says again through aviveka. Because we don't know and we fail to discriminate. We fail to say this is Atma, this is an Atma. And just like somebody who would take the sky, the gagana, the sky to be blue, when the sky is actually colorless, they would say, oh, the sky is blue. But now some people say the sky is pink, right? They'll say the sky is blue, the sky is blue. But the sky has actually no color. So the same way people will say, oh, Atma is a doer, it's doer. That doesn't do. It's just because of lack of discrimination. So in the same way we make mistakes in the world, we make these mistakes with Atma, the self. So now continuing today in verse 22. Ajnana-manasopadhehe
Ajnana-manasopadhehe
Kartritvadini chatmani
Kartritvadini chatmani
Kalpyante bhugate chandre
Kalpyante mudate chandre
Chalanadiyatham bhasaha.
Chalanadiyatham bhasaha.
Together. Ajnanan manasopadhehe Kartritvadini chatmani Kalpyante bhugate chandre Chalanadiyatham bhasaha. So same idea is going on here. He says ajnanat. He says because of ignorance, manasopadhehe, that mind which is a conditioning, and that kartritvadini means doership, enjoyership, etc. Atmani kalpyante. In Atma we superimpose that. He says, let me give you another example. Ambugate chandre. That moon which is reflected in water, chalanadi yatham basaha. We think that that moon which is reflected in water, we think that the actual moon is moving. So picture a moon high up in the sky, beautiful full moon. And picture a moon reflected in water. And sometimes when the moon is reflected in water, it dances. Right? It dances because according to the waves of the water, or sometimes it breaks, or sometimes there's shapes, there's sizes, and because it's reflected in water, we feel that, oh my gosh, this moon is dancing, so Atma is dancing. We feel that the self is going through all of this. The self is shaking, the self is breaking, the self is dancing. But actually nothing is happening to that self. In fact, nothing is even happening to the reflected moon. Now, what can you do with light? You can't even do anything with light. So nothing is actually happening. But it appears that even to the reflected moon, something is happening. It appears that it's breaking. It appears that it's shaking. But nothing can happen to that reflected moon or to the actual moon. So when we look at all of these examples, these are examples to stress again and again that Atma is just not the doer, not the enjoyer, not this individuality. When we say doer, enjoyer, it might seem so far-fetched from us, but doer, enjoyer means my name, me, who I am. That is not Atma. Atma is the self, which is not, it's got nothing to do with this. And we talked about this before, right? Then is this the license to licentiousness? Does this mean that I can do whatever I want because I'm the non-doer? Try it, it won't work. Only a pure and sattvic mind can actually comprehend that I am the non-doer. So it won't work, it's not an escape mechanism. It doesn't mean that we can do whatever we want. It just means that when my mind becomes pure, I am able to see that I am above and beyond this individuality. So sometimes it's hard to say that I'm a non-doer, that I'm not the doer. What do you do then? And I explained to you last time that be an instrument. right? Be an instrument of God's grace. Because sometimes it's hard. It's hard to say, I'm not the doer, I'm not the enjoyer. So instead of saying, I am akarta, in the meantime, you can say, I am karana, I am God's instrument, and things are being done through me. That's much, much better than I did it. It's me. It's all about me. Right? So from me to being an instrument to being the non-doer. From aham karta to karana to akarta. I'm a karta atma. So I've got nothing to do with any of this. Now the student might say, oh my goodness, Adi Shankaracharya ji, I'm so tired, you gave me so many examples, but could you please give me some logic? Like, I just want straight up logic. Just tell me how I'm not the doer. I just want to know straight, what's it like? So now, in verse 23, he says, okay, I'm going to give you pure logic on how you and I are not the doer. Ragecha sukha dukkhadi
Ragecha sukha dukkhadi
buddhau satyam pravartate
buddhau satyam pravartate
sushuptau nasti tannashe
sushuptau nasti tannashe
tasmad buddhestu natmanaha
tasmat buddhestu natmanaha
ragecha
sukha dukkhadi buddhau satyam pravartate sushuptau nasti tannashe tasmat buddhestu natmanaha.
So he says, raga, icha, sukha, dukkha. Raga, strong attachment. Icha, desire. Sukha, joy. Dukkha, sorrow. Adi, etc. Buddhau satyam pravartate means they are in the intellect. They belong to the intellect. How do you know? Sushuptau nasti. Because when the intellect is asleep, they're not there. Tannashe, their destruction is there in deep sleep. Tasmat, therefore, buddhehe tu, means they are in the intellect, na atmanaha, and not in the self. What does this mean? First, let's analyze these emotions because there are such strong emotions that come to us. These likes and dislikes, right? Raga, dvesha. Raga means strong likes. So the difference between raga and icha. Icha is a like, a desire. Raga is a strong desire, strong like. Dvesha, dislike. Why do these count? Why do these count? Why do we have so many likes and dislikes? What is the cause of that? Vasanas. So the more vasanas I have, the more likes and dislikes I have. Because my vasanas will determine what I like. I like places that are quiet. I like places that are serene. I like food that is sattvic. I don't like places that are loud. I don't like places that are too nearby. We have so many likes and dislikes based on our vasanas. This is how we like somebody and we don't like somebody. So what happens when you go to a party? What happens? Network of vasanas, right?
Yeah.
Those with like-minded vasanas will hang out together. Those who don't have the same vasanas will definitely not be in the same corners. They will be apart from each other. So our likes and dislikes are based on our vasanas. That's the cause of that. But what's the effect of likes and dislikes? What's the effect of that? Effect. When I like something so much, what happens? Then I see it as sukha. That raga, dvesha. What is joy? Joy is nothing but getting something that I like. And what is sorrow? Getting something that I dislike, right? Right? So this raga, dvesha, they have so much to do with sukha, dukkha. When I like something, first of all, when I like something, I feel that when I get it, I'll be very, very happy. And when I don't like something, I feel like if I get it, I'll be very, very sad. So the more raga, dvesha I have, the more sukha, dukkha I will have. Automatic, it's an automatic formula. So let's say if I have a requirement that I like a room to be very clean, very quiet, and I only want pink color walls, and I only want, a certain kind of food. Let's say I have so many likes. What happens? And only 2 of my likes are fulfilled. I become very sad. Only 1 of my likes are fulfilled. I become super sad. So the more likes I have, the more I will suffer because I won't get everything that I like. The more dislikes I have, I'll also suffer. Let's go out, let's go on a trip, but I don't want to ride a plane, and I don't want to sit next to this person, and I don't want to go here, and I don't want to go there. So many dislikes. What happens? We're bound to get what we dislike also, because the world is like that. Actually, what we don't like will run after us. Right? And so sometimes we give so much importance to raga, dvesha, likes, dislikes. We forget Adi Shankaracharya Ji is waking us up and saying, hey, don't forget these are just thoughts in the mind. Why are we making such a big fuss about it? What likes and dislikes. The more likes and dislikes, every day we'll go run. We saw in self-unfoldment, what is the preoccupation of anybody? To run towards what we like, run away from what we dislike. Every day we're only doing this. Every day. And this is what prompts us to action. Action, again and again and again. Run towards what I like, run away from what I dislike. Run towards I like, run away from dislike. Where does anybody have time to seek? There's no time because we're busy playing this game. And he says, why are you even so focused on it when raga, dvesha, sukha, dukkha are all states of the mind? And if you say, prove it, he'll say, I'm going to prove it to you through anvaya and vyatireka, the law of presence and absence. When the mind is there, then all of these emotions are there. Raga, dvesha, sukha, dukkha, kama, krodha, everything's there. But when the mind is asleep, are these emotions there? So then, who do they belong to? They belong to the self or they belong to the mind? They belong to the mind. So he says, look, it's very simple. When the mind is, all of these emotions are there. When the mind is not, all of these emotions are not there. Therefore, all of these emotions belong to the manas, buddhi, that in antakarana, it belongs there. It doesn't belong to Atma. So why make such a big fuss about it? Right? The same way, this notion of I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, this notion of individuality, when the mind, intellect, equipment are asleep, where is that? It's not there. Where is you? You're not there. That ego is not there. But when that mind, intellect, ego, equipment wakes up, then that individuality is there. So he's saying, your real nature is not something that's incidental. It's something that's inherent. Something that's coming and going cannot be you. These thoughts that come and go cannot be you. That individual who comes and goes cannot be you. But who are you? You are that which is the substratum of it all. Now imagine how many thoughts we have every day, but how many? Actually about 60,000. Now which thought is you? Can you tell me which one? Now do this. Do this experiment. All of you, I think, have a pen and paper. For 1 minute, you are going to write down all the thoughts that you have in 1 minute. I want you to count it. Ready? Set, go. Write down any thoughts that come. Write down. Just keep writing. Just keep writing. As many thoughts as you have, just keep writing.